to Red Chair Chats. Today we have Blake Cook with us today. Thanks for being with us.
Of course, happy to be here.
So tell us about your journey in real estate. What did you do before you became this wonderful agent?
This wonderful agent. So before I was this wonderful agent, I worked a lot of places. So I opened Alamo Draft House in town. I worked in the ER for 7 years. I worked at Cold Stone for 7 years. And then actually my first sales job was at Hank's, which was right next door.
Fine furniture.
Hank Brown, fine furniture. And then I sold furniture for probably 9 months. They offered me a position to run the Rogers store. Sarah and I were going to relocate, and then we ended up not. She got accepted to a master's program of some sort, so then I stayed.
So then why did you decide real estate?
Truthfully, I was being recruited by a choir teacher of mine,
Okay.
who was at Murney, and I told him no for a long time because I didn't think it was a smart call. And then, well, I got in a car wreck, actually, is what happened. Now that I'm thinking about this, is weird, but so the check that I used, that I got from the insurance company to turn around and then fix the car, I used that to get my license instead.
Okay.
So then, that is how I became the wonderful agent that I am today.
Okay. So you were at a previous brokerage before you came over.
Yep, 2.
How long were you in real estate before you come to KW?
6 or 8 months,
Okay.
somewhere around there. I was with the first company for about 4 months, and then the second company 3 or 4 months, probably around there.
What ultimately led the decision to come to KW?
It was money. I mean, I had goals. I mean, I wanted to sell 30 to 35 homes. I wanted to win Rookie of the Year really bad, and so I was talking with the team lead at the time, and they made an offer. If I actually hit my goal, which that's the point, is hit the goal, then I probably would have lost out on like $24,000.
Wow.
It was a lot, because that wasn't the brokerage I was at didn't have a cap, and it was a decent split, but when there's no cap, I still have like 18 deals to close to catch the.
So let's talk about Rookie of the Year. Why was it so important for you to win Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, so a father figure of mine was he was a realtor in Arkansas, in Harrison, Arkansas, and so he was kind of helping me along, well, just being a decent human being, because I was actually not the wonderful realtor that I am today always.
Okay.
And so he poured into me a lot, and then he died in it was a car crash. It was a head-on collision, and then so he won Rookie of the Year, his board, and then he was on the state board of directors, and he did all these different things. And so the draw was just to have that, and so I won, and which is great. So like in the office, either at my house or up here, because I'm moving back and forth, it's pretty cool because I've got his Rookie of the Year and then my Rookie of the Year.
Awesome.
So that's why I wanted Rookie of the Year.
A lot of people get into real estate and they want to become Rookie of the Year. What do you think attributed to your success of being Rookie of the Year?
Wanting it. I mean, like, not just
having a true why behind it.
Yeah, when there was a reason that I wanted it, and I actually wanted it. And so like everybody wants the accolade of being Rookie of the Year, but no one, like, I went into real estate knowing I had to figure out the criteria ahead of time because I wanted to win it. And so a lot of people
pre-planned your entry.
Yes, because what a lot of people will do is they'll just show up and then it's I want to win Rookie of the Year because I did X, Y, and Z. It's well, there's more that goes into it than just those things. So.
Let's talk about your business.
Yep.
What does your business encompass? Do you have a team?
Yes. So I get a team of probably 10 or 11, depending on who's in the field and not in the field.
Okay.
But I think last year we sold 123. The year before that was 126 homes. And we're all sphere of influence. So that is really all we do. It's very time consuming.
How many of those 123 were your personal transactions?
Yeah, the first year was 55. Which is a ton of them. And then, when you start a team, you're in the people business. So the second year I had to step away from it, which was tough. Profitability went down because it's passing them around and then actually helping them get into production, which is hard. Getting into production, if it was easy, everybody would do it. It was really hard to do. So I think I did 20. It was the lowest I've ever done. It was 23 or 24 last year, and we still did 100. I mean, so right close to where we were, and we lost a really big player from year 1 going into year 2. But we pretty much stayed pace, which was cool. So we really stepped up.
You just said you wanted to get in real estate and sell 32 houses, and then last year you sold 52. It's crazy to think of the growth that you've had in there. What do you think attributed to your goals increasing each year?
Clarity. I mean, I'm such a goal guy, but Sarah's teaching, and so she was teaching for forever. She just left her job, but it was I was always the guy that was finding the next best thing, because once I see the end of something, I understand there's no more opportunity here.
Yeah.
So I needed to go somewhere where the opportunity was as big as I wanted it to be, and so real estate was absolutely that. So like I could go from 30 to 45 to 55, then I can choose to go down to 23. And, I can choose to do that, and I can choose to ramp it right back up again.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Think so?
Yeah.
Kinda?
Yeah. And then going back to a lot of your business being sphere-based,
Mhm.
how did you gain all of those clients? Like, is it networking groups, social media? What does that entail?
So it's brand awareness. So everybody says marketing, and it's so close. It's so close to marketing. We don't actually market. So like I'm not running an ad to get leads to follow up with them forever. We might start soon, but until we actually cap out your sphere, which means that you have to go to movies with them. It means you have to actually go be in their world, which is way more hard than it's harder than people think that it is.
Yeah.
But so we do a lot of video marketing, and I use video marketing loosely, but we're always in front of people.
You were one of the first people in our market to start video marketing.
Yeah, there's only 2 people that are kind of stuck with it.
Where did you find that trend at, and why did you start it?
YouTube. I was just I was on YouTube trying to figure out what scripts I need, what were scripts. 'Cause I hated them. I was trying to figure out all of this stuff, and I was using YouTube to do so. But everybody was talking about on the coast. Everyone was using videos, and so it's weird because we're still not even where they talked about it being. And we have like TikTok, and we have all these different things where people still aren't doing them. And if you do, the trick is staying consistent with it, because it's very hard. Like content creation is tough. We've been posting 2 videos a week for 5 years. Like there's only so many ways that you can talk about equity, or there's only so many things that you can talk about market stats, or like eventually you have to start talking about different things, which is tough because it means you have to be good at multiple things.
How are you coming up with those topics?
Right now it's really easy because I'm helping the agents do it, because I've got a list of 300 videos long that we can just go back and look at. But it's mainly keeping people current, so because there's like updating people in the market. Everyone needs to know that, so there's evergreen content. Like these are the things you should do to get your house ready to sell. You can post that video as many times as you want.
Yeah.
But then like if you have a weird closing or if something strange happens, like that's the video in itself. So it's surprise, surprise. It's very off by the hip, off the hip. Whatever.
Shooting from the hip.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so then with your sphere, a lot of those past like clients coming back and purchasing again?
Yeah, so that actually just started happening like last year. Well, the year that I sold 55 was, I always wanted to be between 30 and 40. Just from a workload, so I could still have time with Sarah and just kind of play and do the things that I wanted to do. But when we went to 55, like there was one, I don't know, it was a 60-day period where I had 14 under contract. It was just me. Not fun. Like that was not a good time.
Was that when you had your clipboards of all your transactions? Yeah. Clipboard, like,
yes.
You should bring that back.
No. No, it's way better. Like the team has that figured out way better than I did. But it had a, like it was so busy that when, like say we go to the lake, and I wanted to get enough money for us to invest in real estate. So it was like, if I'm leaving and going to the lake and somebody calls me, I'm either gonna have to leave the lake to come down here because I need the money so that we can hit our goals, or I have to stay here and hope somebody calls. And during that time, there was like it was a full month. It was just bananas. It was just crazy. It was nuts.
So you said earlier, as you're building your team, you didn't make as much money.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the common misconceptions that a lot of people think of. When I'm going to build a team, I'm going to make a lot more money.
Yeah.
You're going to get more time, more money, and it's going to be awesome. But what they don't realize is, in the messiness of it, you're actually going to drop in income because your time, energy, effort is spent helping somebody else build their business. But then also, if it's another agent, you may be sharing those deals and then splitting that commission.
Oh yeah.
So what does your profitability percentage look like, and what are the ebbs and flows that you've seen of building your team?
Yeah, so as we built the team, the profitability numbers keep changing. And so, which is, because the models change. That's why I say the models change. They shouldn't change necessarily. But if they do, it's because you're trying to get creative and cute. And when we were the most profitable. However, it was crazy because there's always something moving. There's a lot of 1099 people. It's just, it's more, you're dealing with more freelancers, which means there's less systems.
Yeah.
And whether they have a system or you don't have a system, it just gets crazy. So you're either spending time chasing them down or doing their job for them when you're paying them to do it. It's really tough because you split the money with them, you split the time with them, you split the bandwidth with them, but you also carry half their stress. And this is the part that I wish people really talked about, because when you are brand new, everything is stressful.
Yeah.
But when you've been around a long time, there's very little that's stressful. There's always some stress, but when you're brand new or you bring agents onto the team, I don't know, like 5 or 6 that are brand new, on top of building the systems, it is wild, because it makes you remember that first deal that you had, you're going to prison.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to mess this up and I'm going to go to jail, and that is going to be the end of it. And it's like, everything's going to be fine, but you work your way through it.
And luckily you hired a great director of operations, and
it's
it was
fantastic.
your first hire, which not everybody gets it right the first time.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, because I was sitting there and I was like, I probably need some help. So I just put my crazy pants on and I went and I just got him in. And he's been in there just working his crazy little pants off.
Yeah, yeah. Man, I love it. So what is his main role, and how has he contributed to your success, even though he may not be a licensed agent selling?
Yeah, so he is, this is the question, right? Like, this is the one that, so he runs the operations of the team. We didn't create them, but he had to be around me long enough to create the things that I was doing naturally.
Okay.
Which is wild to think about, because they basically just follow you around and they document what you're doing, and you're like, that's not what I do. It's like, that's actually exactly what you did. So then you have to break that down, but he helps me run the team and then also my life, because he does things that I can't do. So like, he makes sure the calendars are in alignment and all these different things, so I can just get up and then handle whatever comes, which is my highest and best use. It's just kind of not fumbling through the day, but when something comes up,
You're putting out fires.
all day long. And if he had to put out fires, he would hate it.
Yeah.
So he can be prepared on the back end, and then I can just run through and put out whatever fires I needed.
You're running the Gary Keller method. That's how he wrote the MREA, is he had somebody follow him and then helped write everything out as he was interviewing and meeting with people.
I think it's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
I think they have a class on it.
It's the only way to get inside of your brain, so then that way, because all the knowledge you're keeping in there, you don't realize that you just have all this knowledge and you can't communicate it because you think it's common knowledge.
100%. And when you're actually talented, you're not making the adjustments intentionally. Like, that's one of the hardest things with either agents that I've seen in the building. Like, this is what I'm doing. It's like, it's what you're doing, but like, do you know how you're doing it?
Yeah.
And they can't tell you how until you kind of take a step back and you're like, oh, I am doing that. So why do you say this instead of this? Because you just make the decision and you go. And then when something doesn't work, you just make the decision, you change it and you go. And then you change it and you go. And over 4 years, you're really good at what you do. But when you're like, hey, so how do I become you? You're like, just script practice. And it's like, that's way more complicated than that, but it's so similar and so close. But yes, that's the best way to do it.
How often are you looking back and evaluating your systems as you're hitting those different ceilings and your team's growing?
Every day. There's always some new one. it's because it's either the capacity of an agent on the team, or that when you're new and you start up and you're not running ads, or you're not paying for leads, or you're not, and you want to do it naturally and organically. Like, it takes 3 to 4 months if you're doing the right things every single time, and everyone believes they're doing the right things every time, but then you gotta look at the scale that you have to do them. And so it's like, when I meet a new agent, like, oh, I don't want to do open houses, or I don't want to run ads, or I don't want to, that's totally fine. But like, do you understand how many open houses are, like, how many people you're gonna have to take on coffee appointments, or how many movies you're gonna have to see? Like, do you understand how expensive that could be? It's not always as cheaper than just running ads, but it's the reps for that. So coming up with those systems has been very, very difficult, because when it's math, it's easy. The path is in the math, because math. But when it's not that, it's the people plus the numbers, it gets really weird, but also it's the thing that converts the highest. So it's like, how many systems can we build around that? Like, we've got our contract to close down, we have our marketing down, we have all these different pieces. We're just kind of filling in some gaps, but the biggest one is like, how do you get agents' minds in the right spot so that they can choose to do which one they want to do?
Yeah.
And they can do either.
And I'm sure that's an everyday conversation, or getting realigned with what they're wanting.
Yeah, and agents change our minds all the time. Like, we wake up and we're like, I want to
not
do
at
this.
No.
And then you're at lunch and you're like, no, I want to do this. No, I want to do this.
I don't see that ever. I don't ever see the visionary mindset.
It's crazy. It's nuts. I literally have an app on my phone where when that happens, instead of acting on it now, because Andrew's trained me, I'm like, hey, here's all the stuff, and I'm just gonna leave that there for now, and then I'll come back to it later, and then I'll say, hey, these are the things we need to focus on. These are stupid. We don't need to do these at all. But in the moment, everything's
It's a great thought at that point.
In the moment, everything's a good call. Yeah.
So what makes you want to stay in the real estate industry? You've been building a team, and now you're having that grow, and you have your investment side. Why do you still want to be an agent?
Because I think real estate's the best thing that there is. I mean, so when it comes to building wealth, which I think everybody should do always, like when you're a realtor, you're front and center. And so whether it's helping somebody buy their first house, I think that is still such a cool thing. When you can teach them how to buy their first house as an investment property, and then you get to help them buy the second house, that's even cooler, because then they have money that's coming in every month, and then it's like, oh, this is what wealth is. So it's like, being a real estate agent is nice because you get to actually impact people. Like, we just sold a house. Her husband is going into a assisted living, so she's moving into a different place because they need different services, and so they had 135 acres, and we had to help them sell it. And it's like, you don't realize that you're actually part of their family now by the end of it, because it's a big deal. And then so you can help people downsize their life, if you will, not just talking about the house, but all the different things they need to do, and then help people build it.
Yeah.
And then if you can help them along the way build wealth, I mean, I think that's the best thing you could do for somebody.
And that's the approach you're taking with your team.
100%.
So whenever somebody comes onto your team, you set up profit first with them, you set up all the bank accounts, and then you're helping them create their wealth plan.
100%. And if they don't want to run it, they don't have to. Because this is the weird piece is, like, you have to feel it to do it. Like, you actually have to experience it. So like, I can show you how to do it, but until and most of the team can probably say this is true, until you go to do your taxes, and you're like, oh my God, what is happening? It's like, well, this. Remember we talked about this a year ago? This is what's happening, and we tried to save you the pain, but it didn't work out that way, and it's okay. So enjoy the next 3 days.
Or it's like, how much did you pay in taxes? Because I only paid this much because I invested in real estate. You're like, oh, now I want to do it. Now I've seen the full circle.
But it's the preparation on the front end, and agents aren't good at that, myself included. Like, that's why the director of ops is such. I think it's the hardest hire. If you're finding someone where that's their natural skill set, and you have to let go of that, and then you just have to do it. Like, this was the fastest I've ever paid my taxes, because the QuickBooks was done. Because if I could do my one job and keep all the receipts and then give them to Andrew, everything else was done. That was huge. It was massive.
How do you think KW has changed your thinking and how you view your business and your life?
So this is the one question you sent earlier, and I was like, man, that's a tough one. Because when I came to KW, it was just for the money. That was the reason I came over, because I thought I was going to work either wherever I was. But looking at Sarah and saying, like, hey, I left 24 grand on the table because I wasn't willing to make the change, was a conversation I was not willing to have. And so I've been pretty vocal all of the time. It's like, hey, if there's another option that comes along, I'm going. Because the point is to impact families and help people build wealth. But over time, I mean, you've got some of the biggest teams, like in Missouri here. And they're completely open book, so they're happy to tell you anything and everything that's going on. As you refuse to do what you're told by the models of the Profit First systems, and I go through an experience, and it's like, oh, that's why you do that. But it's not like a nanny boo-boo, like you suck at your job. It's like, hey, no, I get it too, and now do this if you want, or you can do this, or this, or this. And I mean, another huge reason I'm here is like you, Nicole, and Landon, and Haley, and everybody here, because like we don't have to worry about stuff. Like it's good if we actually have a complaint that's real and valid. Like we can bring it up, and like KW is a place where you can come and you can actually be like, hey, this is really frustrating to me, and you're like, yeah, that sucks, and I don't know that we can do anything, but if we can, what would that look like? And then you can actually fix it. Which as an agent, I don't know what more you could want. Like the values here, and obviously there's the books and there's the mega camp and family reunion and all that stuff, which is all really, really good. But I mean, it opens your mind, and then it allows you to apply it, and apply it in a space that doesn't just kick you while you're down, if that makes sense. Yeah.
When did you start investing in real estate?
We started investing in real estate, and so I got my license in 2018. So 2019, we bought our first property.
Okay.
Yep.
And then where are you at now? investment portfolio?
We have 7 duplexes and then Airbnb in our primary residence. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's crazy. She reminded me that we bought 7 duplexes in a span of a year. But that was that clarity piece, and like there was a cap, and that was the point in being here, was to make as much money as I could, so if the opportunity rose, we could go.
That's awesome.
It's really cool.
So what is up for 2023 and beyond for Property Gurus?
It's actually pretty cool. We're just simplifying it all down to sales. So all the other systems are really in place, and I've got the guy to run them. So I can kind of just stop working on them and just get back to sales, which is very, very fun. And then helping people. And then I've got 7 agents that all want to do the same thing. So, but now they all know. So the trick is making sure that they know that they know.
Yeah.
Because the market's changing, but once they get out there, they're incredible. And then so just seeing how much we can do with what we currently have without having to manipulate or change the system.
Are you seeing the market changing affecting any of your business?
No, I mean it's slowed down. So
Yeah.
but this is the benefit of being sphere-based.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you wanted to sell 100 homes, you'd absolutely be feeling it right now. But if you want to sell 30 to 40, and it makes sense, and the numbers make sense, because math, right?
Yep.
Then 30 to 40 is good. And if you really, it's a network of people, like those homes are still moving.
Mm-hmm.
So the pace has changed, but it's not enough. It's like hurting us in any way, shape, or form.
What would be the one piece of advice you would give to somebody either struggling in this market and thinking I need to get out? What would you tell them?
That's tough because there's so many things.
Okay, what are the couple that come to your mind?
Well, basically when you're not doing what you want to do, and I don't remember the quote exactly, but it's like you're shouting into a cave. It's just dark, there's nothing there, and then the only voice you hear back is your own. And so it's like, what are you saying to yourself? Because if you're gonna crush it, then you're gonna crush it. If it sucks and it's gonna be hard forever and I don't know what to do and I think I have to quit, then you're on your way out. And just run the numbers and see how long you have, and then give it your all in between then and there, and then if you're good, you're good. Yeah. As long as you put in the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who you're around really would help, especially in those voices of what you're hearing.
Yeah, I mean, because you're 100%. Because the days that you're not good, if you've got the network of people, whether it's your team, whether it's whoever it is, if you show up and then they're there to say, hey man, I understand why you think that, but like that's not you. Like, that's really helpful, because then you can get back out and you can go see the movie, or you can go do whatever the thing is. Because when you work with your sphere, you're working with people that you know. And this is something that I wish more people knew when they get into the industry. So here's a quick tip. If you think that it's hard to call people you don't know, it's even harder to call people you do know. And so whenever you sit down and there's a brand new agent and it's like, hey, just call somebody. And they're like, they would rather call people they don't know than call the people they do know.
For sure.
It's way harder. It's way harder because there's way more at stake, if that makes sense.
It's the fear of rejection of somebody you know telling you no versus somebody you have no idea who they are.
Yeah, or them telling you not right now and you take it as no.
Yep.
You take it personally. And then so you start spiraling down, and then you can go to the office, or you can come in and say, hey, what the heck is going on? This is what's happening. And the people that have done it for a very long time are just like, it's how it works. Now do it again. And that's the game. Do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And it gets easier over time.
I think what I'm reminded of is when Jason Abrams at the Shifting to Overthrive training told us, if you're not willing to call your people at least 4 times a year, then don't call them your people.
Yeah, they're not your people.
So it's how you're viewing that perspective. So if you're worried about them saying no, and so you don't want to call them, then they're not your people, and don't be upset when they become someone else's people.
Yeah, you don't care enough to call them. Like, and I mean, that's really real. There's an agent on my team right now that, well, he's the one that helped the older couple. I mean, he went over there on Thanksgiving because she was alone. He took her like food, and like, so they just closed 2 days ago. And it's just like, no, she's like part of my world now.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to him calling her, it's not like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, no, just call her and talk to her, because you're the agent. They know that because that's what you do. But like, do you have a relationship with them, or is it actually just transactional? Because transactions are fine, but like we do a really poor job of actually looking at relationships and transactions. Like whenever So if you're helping a friend and then it's time to buy the house, like it is a transaction. Like you need to be an agent now. Now you need to actually help them.
Yeah.
The hard part is switching from friend to agent and then agent back to friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've got to be able to follow up with your people. And you have to call up your people. For sure.
Man, so good. Awesome. Any final thoughts before we end?
No, this is cool.
Yep.
I think this is really fun.
Thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
We will see you next week for another Red Chair Chat. Bye.